Okay, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. So we're gearing up for Hack Day at the Big Data Conference happening on Monday, August 10th. So we're really excited to see you all there. We'll just do a quick presentation here, just housekeeping items, and then we'll turn it over to our developer evangelist, Sujay, who's going to dive deep into introing to Cloud Foundry and help you get started for the HP Helion Hack Day Challenge. So we're pretty excited. All right. So Hack Day, obviously, coming up pretty fast here. You want to go to Boston, pack your bags. The conference is happening all week, Monday, August 10th through Thursday, August 13th. And then, of course, Hack Day kicks it all off on Monday. And just so you know as well, we're going social. So we'll have our social media team running around, interviewing all of the developers that are heads down coding, and make sure that you talk to that team. They'll have video interviews, pictures, etc. And we're really interested in getting to know your creativity and what ideas you have. Alrighty, so we're going to turn it over to Sujay. And then if anyone who is joining can go ahead and just mute other than the presenter. That way we won't have a lot of background noise. And if you are on the line and can see the icons, just go ahead and select on the bottom right of your screen, Sujay. That way you'll fill up your screen and we'll be ready to go. All right, sir, it is all you.
Thanks, guys. So I hope you can hear me. So welcome to this Google Hangout. We are really excited to do this. So when our team was putting the hack day together, one of our main concerns, of course, was how can we give you more time? Like because the hack day is just for one day, and we definitely wanted uh, like you as a team and you as developers to achieve and attain more from this one day. And we thought it will be a good idea to meet you guys here, answer your questions, get some prerequisite stuff if you can get done at your end, so that that will give you more time. So before I start, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Sujay Maheshwari. I work with the HP Helion cloud team. I am a developer evangelist, and my primary task is to answer any questions you guys have and to give you enough arsenal so that you can build and deploy and run stuff. That's really my role. So let me start to share my screen where I'll quickly take you through what I'm planning to do right now. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. So in the spirit of the hackathon, I thought, I will not go very deep into one of the topics because again, hackathons are not about building code which scales for millions of users, right? Something quick, dirty, prove the point, prove that it makes sense and move on. So with that, my talk is really simple, uh, about let's quickly introduce you guys to HP Helion Development Platform, what that is, and in that process, we'll also cover PaaS 101, HDP 101, and then what can you do right now or before the hack day on Monday so that you get an edge and you are already kind of, hey, I know, how to deploy my code, or I have a fair understanding what will happen kind of thing. Uh, Please feel free to ask questions anytime, to stop me, to say I don't get it. And if you want me to cover anything in detail, I'm very happy to do that. Um, and and I should also apologize for my voice. I have really bad throat and I sound like a horse. So really sorry about that. But I'll try my best. All right. So moving on, let me put this in the presentation mode now. So I want to be very clear about what cloud means for us developers. When I say cloud, I see, the six blind man and the elephant thing coming up, where if I tell cloud to a normal user, they think of, oh, cloud is a place where their pictures and MP3s and, all of these magically get stored and they can access to it anytime. That's what cloud means for them. For an ops guy, cloud means something else. But really, as developers, cloud should mean uh, that we can go back and focus on our apps without worrying about how they scale, without worrying about where they live, without worrying about if there is a failover available kind of thing. Everything should be taken care by the infrastructure. That's what cloud means to me. Which brings to an important point, and this is where you have to remember, uh, again, for the hackathon, out of these four stacks, you fall on the third stack. So you are not bringing in your network storage servers. You are not doing that. You are not even bringing or expected to install the operating system when you come in, or what runtime you need. Nothing of that sort. Of course, you are only expected to bring your a application and bring your data. That's it. So if you can get these two, we will give you the runtime, middleware, OS, what's everything you need to run your application. So as I said, I will focus everything in, with the spirit of hackathon. I'll be very brief about few things, and but I do want to touch upon to folks as to what Cloud Foundry is, what Helion is, and how we can help you, and what will happen, when you come on that day and when you start deploying your app. So let's quickly define PaaS. I'm sure all of you know PaaS, but just for the context setting, let's quickly define PaaS. So PaaS, with all the jargons and all the buzzwords, of course, there's so many things going on. For me, PaaS means at a high level, it's all loosely coupled. Things are self-describing, which ultimately helps us with our auto scaling, self-healing, and high availability. Even though these sound and look like buzzwords and might not mean anything to some of you, but they do you know function the way somebody had thought of them functioning ultimately when we deploy the apps. Okay, so the question then comes is, why are we doing this? Why are we going the PaaS route? I mean, what's the need? I was happy with the way things were. And I guess what reminds me is a thread on Quora, and it was asked to the Netflix team. And the question was, how fast do you deploy apps? Do you deploy, the next, like, or a code base on Netflix? And the answer given by one of their VPs was as fast as we can. So we are getting into a world where we don't have to wait for Friday evening 5 o'clock to push your app. We don't have to wait for a long, lengthy approval process where 50 people sign off saying that okay, this is good to go. We don't have to wait and depend on that one developer who only knows what that code looks like. And now if that developer leaves, the team is in trouble. uh, uh, so we are talking about microservices, self-healing, auto scaling, and all the good stuff. And we all want to become like somewhere like Netflix and Airbnb and Instagram when it comes to the technology, when it comes to speed, resiliency. And I guess that's where PaaS, the whole ideology of PaaS, the whole ideology of microservices, takes into effect. So let me go back and see if there are any communications going on here. Okay, looks like we are okay. So again, coming from a developer background, there's we know for sure that there's no magic. It's not that I used to write code in a certain way, and if I still keep writing code in that same way, things will just work because this pass is available. That's not how it works. There's no magic, right? What is going on actually is abstraction and more abstraction and more abstraction. And the more you abstract, uh, you as a developer, you have to understand what will it now take to make your code run on that abstraction, which ultimately is you have to think a little different, right? So, for example, if you want to become cloud native, you have to start thinking in terms of 12 factors. And towards the end of this presentation, I have a lot of resources listed, and you can take a note of that, and you can come prepared. But for those who have not heard about 12 factors, it's a rule book. You don't have to follow all 12 factors. It's a rule book which guides you, saying that okay, if you want to become cloud native, if you want to scale horizontally, vertically, no matter what kind of thing, you must and you should follow these factors. One of the factor, to just give you a flavor, is your processes. Let's say you are running a process. Your process should not assume that it will run forever and it cannot crash. Your process should make sure that it does not keep any state information with itself, because it can die anytime. It can get short, kind of thing, anytime. And if it gets short, your entire application can, like another process can come in and pick up the state from some external, storage kind of thing, and it can still run and complete the transaction for the user. That's one of the factors. So there are these 12 factors. Then we are going towards the whole microservices route, and again, I can spend a day talking about microservices, but that's not the point here. And I want to close this slide on saying that it's the whole debate of cattle versus pets. So right now, the way we have architected our apps is more like pets. And by pets, I mean, if you really care for your pet. You If that pet gets sick, you take it to the doctor. Your pet is an exclusive kind of buddy in your house. You bring all the good stuff for the pet, which is good, but it is painful to maintain and manage and kind of thing. We are moving towards thinking of, with the philosophy of cattles. You shoot a cattle, doesn't matter. There's another one. Although this philosophy might not work in certain countries like India, where I come from, because shooting cattle is not a good thing there. So that's where we said, all right, we'll use paper plates versus fine china. So, but yeah, that's the philosophy, that do not bother about whether your server goes down. It's no big deal. There's another thing which will pop up, and it will pick up your code, and it will start running your code and stuff like that. So what's HP Helion doing here, right? So HP Helion primarily consists of two big components. As you see on the bottom side, Helion OpenStack, and on the top, Helion Development Platform. So for this discussion and for Monday, we have nothing to do with Helion OpenStack. Uh, Also, we will just be focusing on Helion Development Platform, and and it's built on Cloud Foundry. So Helion Development Platform is our distribution of Cloud Foundry, right? And it gives you the application lifecycle services, which means that if you have an app, and if that app is written in Java, then it will need the runtime. It will need some environment where it can, the dependencies and all the good stuff, to compile and to run and execute kind of thing. That will be available for you. It will need services like database, RabbitMQ, Redis. Again, those services will be available to you out of the box. You don't have to install. You don't have to, put the port number and where this Redis service lives. All of that stuff is taken care for you. And then you as a developer, you will need some admin portal, some developer portal, some IDE plugin, so that you can push the code, or at least a command line tool where after you finish your code, you have to kind of take your code from your local machine or from your Git and push it ultimately onto a cloud where it can finally run, and of course, it can be used by the users. Again, if you find me going too fast, or if you do not follow, feel free to ask questions. We can take a break, and we can just chat about what you think. So now I'm switching gears a little, and I want to talk about what will it look like when you are there on Monday, and what will happen. Uh, so when you come in on Monday, you will start to write your app. And let's say this example is a Ruby on Rails example, but let's say you get your app done. Uh, you will do the you will do things pretty much the same way, and assuming you have taken care of some of the 12 factors principle and stuff like that. What you will end up writing extra, or an additional file, is called as the manifest.yml. So what's that? So manifest.yml is, of course, a YAML file, which has information about your application. And this information is ultimately given to, again, in loose terms, it is given to the Helion Development Platform, saying that, hey, here's my piece of code, and here's more information about this code. Why don't you take it and kind of build it and run it and execute, kind of thing, host it on my behalf. So the name is the only mandatory piece of information required, and I'll talk about manifest file and how where do you find manifest file, if you want to deep look into it in depth before you come. So I'll have a lot of resources, as I promised, coming up for you. Then you, for example, in the Rails world, you have a command, and where I'm saying that, hey, bundle exec Rails, kind of, start my Rails server kind of thing. And towards the end, I'm requesting for a service, and in this case, it's a database service, which is a MySQL database server. So when I request a MySQL database server, as you noticed, I'm not saying where this SQL server, MySQL lives, what's the port, what's the user ID password, nothing of that sort. Everything is provisioned with that one single line. So in fact, let me show you a live manifest here. So this is my app, and here I'm requesting for 512 MB of memory, and I'm saying I want two instances, not one, two. Uh, Also, if you notice, right, I have some environment variables here, which, and I can talk about that more. I have a slide on that. But the fun part is now I can also have hooks as part of my manifest file. And I'm saying that before running the application, I want you to execute this. So there are multiple hooks which are available for you. I'll be pointing you to the manifest, what all things can go on the manifest, again, in my resources, so that you have good knowledge of this. Again, the idea is for you not to go through all of this. If you can get familiar a little, uh, me and my team will be available and will be helping you, while you are writing the code. So you have all the time, even on that day, to ask us questions and to get help. But again, this is just to equip you, so that you don't lose time on that day. That's the whole idea. So all right, so you wrote your code, and you have your manifest ready, and you are good to go, but you will not be doing things the way you end up doing maybe now. As to, you'll not have any server name, you'll not have any IP address, no FTPs, no scripts, uh, no SSH, nothing of that sort, right? All you will do is you will deploy to a cloud destination, which looks like below. And notice here, you will see there is a Helion command getting fired. So Helion, and what I'm doing here is, actually, I have already downloaded my command line toolkit, and which I'm going to point you guys to at, which you can download and you can keep and and be prepared. But really here, I am in my current code folder on my particular computer, and then I open up a command prompt, and all I say is Helion. So that's my executable. And to Helion now, I'm passing two parameters. The first is target. So I'm telling Helion that I'm setting up a target, which is a cloud destination, and ultimately because at this target, at this location, I will be deploying the code which is on my machine. That's what you are trying to do here. Now, if you are writing code in Java or using Eclipse, and you are writing code in .NET using Visual Studio, you are very welcome to use uh, a plugin. So if you are a big fan of plugin based kind of usage, you can do that. You need not use command line. So I have some screenshots later on, for the plugins. But over here, this is what you will do. Please do not copy any of these URLs because these will change for you. These are some sample things which I had, and we'll be giving you, the exact target and the user ID and password, uh, on that day, on Monday morning. So you will do the target, and then you'll log in. And once you log in, it will ask you for an organization and a space. Very quickly, organization and space are nothing but logical groupings. We have already created organization and space for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'm happy to talk about it if you guys have more question on that. But again, organization and space are more for, so that you can logically, like, segregate and or put similar apps in one category kind of thing. So these are some of the screenshots. This is for the Eclipse Java plugin, and here, as you can see, you can set the target. You are doing the whole email ID password kind of thing, and then you can push through your Eclipse. You can find this plugin in the Eclipse marketplace. So just search for Helion Development Platform Eclipse plugin, and you are good to go. For .NET, similar plugin is available. All you have to do is search for your NuGet package, and just search for Cloud Foundry, and you will find the plugin there, and again, you are good to go. I I'm a big fan of command line, so I generally use command line. All right. So once you are logged in, you'll and then the ultimate, of course, goal is to push your app. And this is really what you'll do on that day. Once your app is ready and everything is ready, you will just say Helion push. And once you issue this command, your code from that particular folder, as you can see, the folder is to-do list database, that big line there. What is happening here is, from my local machine, the code is being carried away, right? It goes to that destination which we had, and then all the underlying components are basically creating the app, taking your source code. They are compiling your app. They are figuring out what dependencies your app needs, whether if it's Rails, what version of Rails, and what gems are required. And it will compile, it will build that entire cohesive runtime environment, and it will make sure that app runs. Now in that process, if you said that, hey, I need a MySQL, I need a Redis, even that will be provisioned for you. And then your app will be told about, here's where the Redis is, here's where the MySQL is, so that your app can communicate to these services. You don't have to worry about it at all. Everything is taken care of. Now, as I'm saying all of this, I also realize that I am kind of, as I said, right, I'm not going to the details. So what I have for you guys is, I have a webinar which we recorded 2 weeks back. So I have a link to that webinar, and you guys, and again, it is part of the resources. which goes in depth about what happens when you push, what all components come in play, on the Cloud Foundry side, on the Helion Developer Development Platform side, and why your code gets executed, why not it gets executed, all that good stuff. So I'll encourage you guys to take a look at uh, that particular webinar. So moving forward, so how will things work then, right? So will the environment be provided? Of course, you are not supposed to bring anything other than your laptop. So as you know, we, as per the rules and requirements, there will be 3 people allowed per team, and we will give each member their own space, on the cloud. Because you might be developing things in parallel, but the final presentation can be done from the one account, from the single account. So we are hoping you will use something like Git. You 3 guys are working, you are pushing your code, and then you reconcile and you get one build, and then you can push from either of your accounts, and then you can come up with that one kind of URL for us, and you can do the presentation from that one account. So what do you have to come what do you need, and what do you come up with before the event? And you need not do anything of this, honestly. Of course, you have to come with a laptop, otherwise, yeah. But the reason, again, I am stressing on this is because it will save some time. On that particular day, you will have a similar presentation, which will give again the guidelines and where to go, download what, and how to set up things, and stuff like that. So don't worry if you don't get time to do that. But if you do it, you'll get a head start. You'll save some time. And also, if you have questions between now and then, I will be around and I can, help you with answering those questions. So here's what I suggest you do. On your laptop, you go to this particular bit.ly, Helion command line, CMD line, and for whatever environment you are on, whether you are on Windows, Mac, or Linux, you download the command line. And for Windows, what I did is I downloaded the exe, I put it in a folder, I went to my advanced settings path, and I updated my path to refer to the Helion command line. So now, for example, if I go here, I can go really like any place, and I just say Helion, and I can say help. Hopefully this works. Yes, it works. So I suggest you guys do a similar exercise after this. You download the command line and update your path variable and just issue Helion help. If you have this running, at least your command line tool is working. That's all you need. Okay. All right. But you can do better, of course. If you guys are not aware of 12 factors, it's super simple, quick, fun read. Trust me, not at all complicated. And you will appreciate and you will understand what these 12 factors are. I highly, highly, highly recommend you to go ahead and take a look at 12 factors. That's one. Second, you go to our Helion Developer Network website, and let me go here and show it to you. And you can download, or you can at least take a look at some of the sample apps which we have. If I go here and here, so you'll see these sample apps already there. So for example, again, this Ruby on Rails, I keep talking. So there's a sample app. You will also see what manifest looks like. And on that day, honestly, you can start with this manifest. You need not start from scratch. Saves time. And of course, as I suggested earlier, feel free to drop me a line between now and the hack day. Honestly, even after that, if you want to stay in touch, uh, I'm not that a bad person. You can do that. So some questions, I generally get asked, hey, what about deployment hooks? And I showed you earlier, but there are plenty. And again, this is available, this URL is available in the resources, which is my last slide. Uh, Here, as you can see, these are all the keys available for your manifest file. And in this, you will see these are the hooks. So so if I go to hooks, you'll see that, before deployment, after deployment, before running, after running. So if you want to fire a script, maybe to synchronize your database or to migrate your database or to drop a table, create some seed data, whatever it is, right? All of this you can do via these hooks. Extremely simple, extremely handy, and I suggest you at least take a look at these hooks. They are like super important for you to know. uh, then let's go back here. Will you get access to your resources, particularly database? Absolutely, you'll get access to your database. So let me quickly show you. uh, you'll have access to a developer portal like this. It will be your own portal, and of course you will not see so many applications, you will see your own application. And here is, let's say, my application, right? My Ruby to do db kind of name. uh, and it is using a resource, right? I mean, it's using a service, and that service is MySQL. If I go here, and as I was telling earlier, right, I did not set the name of the service. I did not set the host name, port, username. I did not do anything. I just said I need a MySQL service. That's it. But once that service is provisioned for your app, maybe you want to log in into that service to do something. And that's where you can go here. And as you can see, all the details are available here, right? So you don't have to like worry about, hey, if this service gets provisioned for me and if I cannot access the service, if I have to debug or I have to look into some of the data, how do I do that? It's very much accessible for you. So you are covered there. Uh, I recommend you to go the environment variable route and not hard code things in your code. Stuff like if you are using, let's say, a Twitter API, use an environment variable to save your Twitter API key and stuff like that. Again, you will find some of these resources again in my resources section. So what applications do we support right now? What platforms do we support? Here are most of them here, but there are more. I mean, this is not the exhaustive list. So if you have something outside this, feel free to get in touch with us and we can talk about it, how we can support those platforms. But pretty much these should cover a lot of you guys out there. Okay. This is a super important slide. I cannot emphasize to download the command line, take a look at the manifest options. If you have time, read about microservices. And if you show some microservices patterns and stuff like that, it will help you get score those extra, points for your to become the, to stand out from, in the crowd and get our Helion prize. And of course, there's sample code already available for you. And lastly, if you have, if you are curious to know more about PaaS and Cloud Foundry and HDP as to what's going on, uh, there's an in-depth webinar. If you don't want to shoot an email to me, you can always go take a look at the webinar. It's around 45 minutes to an hour, and that will take you through all of these things which I spoke, but in depth, and it will help you understand more. So with that, uh, I'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
Yes, so questions that have come up during the presentation, Sujay. After the hackathon, how long will the environment be available to participants?
Wow, good question. So normally what we do is we have this provisioning done for the hackathon for the teams, and we'll let it run for a few days. Uh, But if you guys are interested to have it longer, we offer a trial period for more around 3 months, I guess, and we can move you onto that trial program, and then you have more time to have your app up and running.
Okay, perfect. So hopefully viewers understand that. But
and another question: do we have to open source the code? Is it a must?
Yeah, of course it's not must, right? I mean, nothing is like you have to do this, but in the spirit again of hackathon, that's the whole idea of you came in, you brainstorm, you randomly you pick, you had these people you resonated, and you started building an application, and you created some value. V- we believe, and I personally believe, forget about HP Helion, but I personally believe that you should make it open source, because now maybe you will involve others who were not present there at that hack day to become part of your idea, and to help you like take that idea to the next level. Why not? So I will strongly again advise to make it like publicly available.
right. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely encouraged, and obviously you'll be there on site, Sujay, and all day hack day, so
Yes.
bright and early. Jen will also be there, so we'll make sure to direct questions. Everybody will be there supporting you throughout. Doesn't look like we've received any additional questions or in the chat window, so we'll close out the presentation. Sujay, that was terrific. Really enjoyed it. And hopefully, again, direct questions directly to Sujay, or we'll see you soon. Sorry, one more question just came in. To clarify what Sujay just said, no, open source is not a requirement for Hack Day. It's just encouraged. So
Yep.
if you need any more clarification, any more questions, we'll see you in a few days. We're excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Thank you, Sujay. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.